like we are live. Today is stretch and strength yoga. So a little bit of building some strength and a little bit of lengthening. We're going to use something slippery today to do that pull movement. So yoga has a lot of holding, a lot of strength, a lot of building strength, but it doesn't have a lot of pulling motion. So we're going to add in some pulling motion. So something to slide on. I use a towel because we have wood floors. If you have carpet at home, maybe use a paper plate or something that can slide easily along the floor. And keep it near the end of your mat. And then we will also make use of the bands if you have them. However, if you don't have a band, just imagine. So you can use the same muscles action by just imagining. The band, however, just gives you something to really push against and really activate the muscles and know that you're activating them. But once you get the hang of imagining, you can do the same thing. So we're going to start down on our backs. Not because we're going to start easy. So we're going to work hard today. And then we're going to take some long lengthening. Have your feet pretty close to the end of the mat because we're going to come off the mat. Maybe even fold up your mat a little and just have your feet onto the towel or near the towel so that you know where it is. Start to land on the ground. And start your centering, your grounding. So find your hips on the ground. Start to loosen and soften around the low back. Let your hips really land on the ground. Take some wiggles and let your shoulders land on the ground. And check in on the neck. Make sure you're not yanking it down towards the ground. Let that natural curve happen in your neck. Try to move the head around until you can soften away some of that tension in the neck. And bring your hands wherever they are comfortable. So comfortable. Maybe today they're comfortable on your torso. Maybe they're comfortable with the palms up. Make some choices about where your shoulders and hands and your physical body feels comfortable today. Let your knees soften in towards each other so there's really no gripping in any muscles. And find the breath. Start to loosen and soften and breathe. And give yourself permission to let go of yesterday and let go of tomorrow. And just be present with yourself, with your physical body, with your energy, with your muscles. For the next 60 minutes, really trying to be present. So yoga has the added benefits of making you stronger or making your muscles more flexible. But the real concept is to start to tune in and have a mind-body connection, union. So rather than the muscles and the limbs just flying around in space without knowing what's going on in the physical body, we start to have a connection. We start to get to know the body deeply. Get to know our own holding patterns, our own bone shape even. Sometimes our bone shape won't allow us to bend into the shape of somebody else's pose. We get to know ourselves and get to know what is holding us, whether it's muscular tension, whether it needs a little work, or whether it's simply we weren't made to make that pose in that particular way. So starting to just let go of what you think you should be achieving with this practice. And set your intention on getting to know what is within. Take a really long, slow breath in, and with the exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. and notice how that feels. Maybe you feel like you need a couple more, and imagine you're just going to let go of news and tension and anything else in the outside of the world, in the outside world, with each exhale. Perhaps you can start to feel the muscles of your face soften a little. And then bring your knees in, give yourself a little hug, rock it, if that feels good. And then start to move the feet, looking at the feet. So lift your feet so you can look at them. Spread the toes wide. And then pull the toes down, point the toes. Pull the toes back towards the shins. So we're really looking and feeling the muscles of the feet. And then take the feet out. So turn the feet out and then turn the feet in. So starting to know which muscles make all these movements happen. And then point the toes. Turn the feet out. Notice how that's different. Turn the feet in. And then take slow circles with the feet. Slow, as if you're trying to feel every part of the circle that your foot can move in. And then reverse the direction. And then begin to pedal your feet out one at a time. So lengthening and then pulling the knee in. Lengthening and pulling the knee in. Notice it's a two-way action. We're not just pushing the foot away, but we're also pulling the knee in. Start to connect with the legs. Maybe start to pull the toes back, feel the back of the leg. If you're feeling this in the low back, bring your feet higher and push your hips down actively with your stomach to the ground. Start to pedal the legs, feel the legs. What's going on in your legs? And then bring the feet up to the ceiling. We're going to push the hips actively to the ground. Active legs. So we're going to pull the toes down towards the shins, push the balls of the feet to the ceiling, pull the stomach down. We're going to pull the arms up towards the ceiling, and then we're going to lift the arms, lift the shoulders about 1 inch off the ground. You can leave the head down. You're just starting to lift and lower, nice and slow and with control. And this should start to fire up the core muscles. Legs are strong, pushing the hips down, trying to keep the legs still. We're just lifting the shoulders, mindful of tension in the neck. Squeeze the muscles in the core. Let that lower, soften the knees. Take a little reset. This time we're going to take the legs up, get the legs active, push the hips down into the ground. We're going to lift the arms, and this time when we lift the arms, we're going to take the arms over and then towards the feet. Back to center, over to the side, then towards the feet. Let the head move with freedom so you're not yanking on the head. You're focusing this muscular action in the core. Up, over, center. Up, over, center. Really firing up the core. Take the tension out of the neck and the face. If you want to make it even more challenging, you're going to lower your feet a little more to the ground. Keep them strong. And then bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug to reset. Grab your band if you have it. An option just to do the same thing we just did, or this time setting up with the band. So, hips push down to the ground. Legs strong and active. So imagine you're pulling something apart with your legs and at the same time squishing them together. So you're finding as many muscles in your legs as you possibly can. Toes are pulled to the shins, balls of the feet are pushing up. Arms lift to the ceiling, engage against the band. So now your whole shoulders should be active. Lift, over, push, center. Lift, over, push. Try to let the neck go where the neck needs to go. Just let the head follow the shoulders. Breathe. Pull the core muscles tight towards the stomach. Maybe lower the legs a little more. And then bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset. Option to wrap the band around lower legs. Scooch down so your feet are on the slidey thing. So you're going to scooch down. Your hips are at the end of your mat. Locking your legs. So you're going to try and pull into the band with your legs. You're going to pull the feet up so that everything is active before you begin the movement. So your whole leg is nice and strong. You're going to let your torso remain on the ground, shoulders down. Let the feet slide away nice and slow. Try not to let them slip. So you're pushing away and then pull the heels back to the glutes. Slide away slow. Pull the heels back towards the glutes. Slow as you can. The slower you go, the harder your muscles have to work because you're controlling the movement. You're not just letting your limbs flop in space. Watch for tension in the neck. You can activate the core. Lower the shoulders. Let the shoulders be soft. Try to think about this in your legs most of all. Watch for compensation in the low back. Sometimes when the hamstrings are tight, the low back might be firing to try and compensate. Keep an eye out for that and just activate the core. Push the hips into the ground. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug to reset. Maybe take some ankle circles. Let go, loosen and soften the legs. And then bring the heels back to the ground. Take a little side sway of the knees. Make sure you're loosening any gripping first. Option to repeat this exactly how we just did it. That's where your muscles are at. That's where you go. Option to bring back of the arms down to the ground just for support. And you're going to let your neck remain soft. You're going to lift the hips a teeny tiny bit first. Fire up the core. Fire up the glutes and the backs of the legs. Let the legs slide away. And then pull back. Slide away. And pull back. Watch for compensation patterns in the hands, in the face. Lower the hips if you lifted them. Bring the knees in. Release the band and rock it. Take the palms of your hands and just rub them on your shins. Just to loosen and soften, give everything a little shake up. And then roll on over to a side and come to tabletop position. So we're going to move and breathe. Inhaling tabletop, exhaling towards child's. Starting to feel our hands on the ground, our breath connected with movement. Inhale forward, exhale back. And if you like to add thought to help you stay focused, the inhale is, I open my heart And the exhale is I bow to my heart. We're going to work on an arm balance today. So we're going to warm up the shoulders. Option to take the band around lower arms, or just imagine that you're engaging around lower arms. So you imagine you're pushing your arms out, starting to engage your shoulders a lot. Tuck the toes, lift the knees to a hover, engaging the arms. Lower the elbows, still engaging the band. And then lift and lower. So it's a teeny tiny movement. Engaging the shoulders, take the tension out of the neck, engage the core. Lower the knees. Lower the hips, child's pose. Bring it back forward, still engaging into the band. We're going to stay in tabletop. If you want to make your base active, you're going to push down, like you're imagining you're pushing straight through your knees and then pulling your knees apart. That should fire up glutes. So really activate and pull into the band, base steady. And we're going to lift one hand at a time. So inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower, slowly pulling. Inhale as you lift, exhale as you lower. Trying to keep this right in the arms and shoulders. Lower to reset. Find your breath. Step back up in tabletop, find your strong base, and this time we're going to pull the arm backwards. So inhale, pull back, exhale, center. Inhale as you pull back, exhale, center. Lower the hip, lower back to child's. So reset. Keeping the band, send the hips up and back, down dog. So notice how your down dog might feel different while you're engaging into the band. You might even need to take a little bit wider arms with your hands. And then start to warm up your down dog in whichever way feels right for you today. Moving the hips, moving the legs. And then pulling the hips up out of the ground. Find the stillness of down dog. Still engaging into the bend. So you're lifting up out of the wrists. Pulling your entire body weight away from the wrists. Breathe. Bend the knees, look towards the hands, and then hop or step until your feet are underneath your hips. And release the bend and let the arms fall. Let the torso hit the thighs with knees bent. And take that tension out of the head. Breathe. Leaving the bend, we're going to inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, purr to heart. Connect with the breath. Inhale up. Exhale, purr to heart. Bring your prayer to heart, bend the knees and sink the hips just a little. We're going to move the weight around on the feet, so push your weight more into the balls of the feet. Maybe lift the heels a little. Back into the heels, lift the toes. Start to really connect with the muscles of the legs. So feeling the legs, moving with the legs. And then take it side to side, over to the right side of the foot, over to the left side of the foot, feeling the muscles that make this action happen. And then bring yourself down to a baby chair. So legs are entirely active. We're feeling like we're pulling our knees apart while pushing them back in at the same time. Take the tension out of the low back. Soften the shoulders. See if you can lift the toes and wiggle the toes. Keep the toes nice and soft, legs nice and strong. Breathe, hold. Trying to move on to the left leg without moving the hips. We're going to send the right leg forward. Engage that lower core and maybe bring it up strong and active. Knee active, hold. We're going to lift and lower the knee, strong both ways. So muscles engaged, lift and lower. Connect with your breath. Inhale as you pull up, exhale as you push down. Arms can remain in prayer at your hips, or you can bring them in to the game. Push down, hold, strong, strong, strong leg. Cross it over the left. Sink the hips down a little more. Bring your hands to your heart. Balance and breathe. Squeeze both legs strong. Get tall from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Nice and long and strong. Slowly unravel and send the right leg back. Land in a high lunge. So a shorter high lunge than your standard high lunge. Pop that back foot in. Bend the back knee, and we're going to send the heel back and then bend the knee. Send the heel back, bend the knee. Hold the knee bent. Focus on your base. So strong, strong, strong legs pulling up from the ground. Getting longer, longer, longer in the spine. And we're going to lower the knee. Inhale as we come back. So inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Strong legs. Controlled every part of the movement. Hold your high lunge. Bring the weight forward onto the left leg. Start to land on the left leg. Pop up the toes of the right. Hold. Bend the knee. Bring the heel to the glute. Hold. And then bring the knee all the way up to stand. And lower and tap out. So tap out left to right. Loosen. Soften. Lift. Land in mountain and connect with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Hold your prayer at heart center. Start to sink the hips and bend the knees and engage. So really thinking about pulling the knees together and pulling them apart. Activate outside hips, inside legs, whole legs. Don't grip at the toes. Long spine, soft shoulders, soft face. Use the glutes, but not more than you're using the legs. So glutes are firing, but not the only thing that's firing. Not doing all the work. Hold. Option to raise and lower the heels or just hold. So nice and slow, lifting the heels, lower the heels. Lift and lower. Working on core stability, holding it tight, working on the backs of our legs, working on the muscles of our feet. And then sit up back in your baby chair. Weight onto the right leg, slowly bring the left leg forward. Try not to move the hips too much. Keep it in control. Hold. And then inhale, draw the knee in. Exhale, push the heel away. Inhale in. Exhale, push. Fire up the core. Draw the knee in, cross it over the right. Sink the hips down a little more and balance. Engage the core, longer in the spine. Send the crown of the head up, both legs active. Breathe and hold. Slowly unravel. Send the left leg past the right and land in a short high lunge. Find your base. Then we'll send the heel down and bend the knee. Send the heel down and the knee. So we're really trying to find the muscles at the back of the leg. What's going on there? How far does the heel go? What's holding it? Where's the gripping? Just noticing. Noticing what happens in your low back when you work the leg. Noticing any gripping you have in the shoulders. Having an internal experience. Not worrying about what my shape looks like. Just worrying about what's going on inside your own muscles. So sit up in a short high lunge. Bend the knee. We're going to inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower that back knee. So slow, controlled, not wobbly hips. That means you need to engage the core nice and strong. Watch for gripping in the right toes. Watch for gripping in the left glute. It's active, but not the only thing working. Set up in your short high lunge. Bring the weight onto the right leg. Engage the core. Start to pop up the toes of the left. Bring the heel to the glute and hold. Long in the spine. Slowly bring the knee up to center. And then tap it out. Take it left, right. Let go. Bring it back to mountain. Connect with our breath. Inhale up. Exhale, purr to heart. Bring our prayer to heart. Land in our mountain pose with soft base, long spine, soft shoulders. Perhaps even closing our eyes for a moment. We're going to sink the hips back down, knees bent, and we're going to set up and we're going to move and twist. So hands in prayer makes your torso a little less heavy. We're going to focus on these core muscles. If you want to bring your arms out, it's going to make your torso a little heavier, a little more challenging. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. So I'm going to turn so you can see better. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Moving from the core, base is locked. Maybe start to sink the hips down, take it a little deeper. Legs are strong, active. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Soften your toes. Soften your legs. And this time we're going to inhale up and swan dive it down. Touch the ground. Step back, high plank. Hold your high plank. Start to feel your arms. We're going to bend the elbows. Send the torso really long. So long from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Engage core. So you're really pulling the core towards the spine. Breathe and hold. And then lower the knees. Send the hips back. And relax and reset in child's pose. If child's pose is not your relax and reset pose, come on down to crocodile pose. Put one hand on top of the other, head down. Release. What can you let go of? Wherever you're at, make your way back to a tabletop position. Lock in your base, so feel strong in the glutes and the legs, like you're pulling the knees apart. We're going to take the right arm in a big, slow circle backwards. And then the left arm, big, slow circle. As if making space, move with your breath. Make it one whole long breath per arm. And then land the hands. We're going to work towards an arm balance. So, working towards an arm balance is just working towards an arm balance. It's not about getting the pose, but what you learn about your body and about your ego and about your mind along the way. So practice play, see what comes up. We're going to start by bringing the right leg out, holding it out. So leg is nice and strong. Pull the core really active. Bring the knee forward to the right knee and then straight. Forward to the right elbow and then straight. So squeeze forward. Start to bend the elbows. So start to bring the elbows towards that right knee. Bring them towards. Send the right knee back. Send the hips over to the right side, funky child. And then back to tabletop. Left leg lifts nice and engaged and strong. So we're lifting up out of the ground, not sinking into our shoulders. Lifting, lifting, lifting. Pulling ourselves up nice and strong. And then we're going to draw the left knee in. Squeeze it in towards that left elbow. Send it long. Squeeze it in, controlled. Send it long. See if you can match the movement to your breath. Inhale long, exhale, squeeze in. Inhale long, exhale, squeeze. Return the left knee, send the hips over to the left, funky child. Bring it back to tabletop. So, if that last set of exercises from tabletop, bringing the knee to the elbow. Felt like enough of a challenge for you? Stay there. If you're ready to try the next level, you're going to come to a down dog. Lift up the hips, lift the right leg, and then same movement. Take an inhale long, exhale, squeeze the knee to the elbow. Inhale long, exhale, squeeze nice and slow, knee to elbow. Lift the right leg long. Take a big circle with the right leg. And then lower the right leg down. Set up for the other side. Inhale, left leg long. Exhale, squeeze knee to elbow. Inhale long. Exhale, squeeze. Try to keep the tension out of the neck. Keep this working in the core. Take the left leg long, take a big circle. And then return the left leg down and find your reset pose. Knees down and either hips back to child or come to crocodile, whichever one works better for you to reset, release, and let go. So as you're starting to assess how that felt, maybe you're still in the tabletop version. Maybe that bothers you, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're excited about the possibility of building strength. There are no right answers. It is just an exploration. We're looking to learn, be a student of ourselves. So wherever you're at, meet me back in tabletop and do a quick assessment. Where are you ready to be? Are you ready to repeat the tabletop version? Are you ready to move up to the down dog version? Or are you ready to play and see if you can come all the way to the arm balance? So you're going to tuck, if you're coming to the arm balance, you're going to tuck the toes, come up to down dog. You're going to lift the right leg, and as you squeeze in, you're going to bend the elbows. Bring the right knee to that right elbow. So right above the elbow, you're going to land on the right elbow. Maybe stretch the leg out. And maybe you can lean the torso forward, squeeze the core, and start to lift back toes. And make sure you don't have a cushion in the way. So play. Coming forward. Landing on the tricep, landing above the elbow, squeezing the elbow in, squeezing the other elbow in towards the chest, and then lifting and lengthening. Wherever you're at, have a play. See where you're at. See what happens when you fall out. Try to have a little humor with yourself, and then land in either child's or crocodile, whichever one you reset in most easily. Find your breath. And then set up to play on the other side. So if you're following me to the arm balance, you're going to come up to down dog. You're going to lift the left leg, bend the elbows, squeeze the core, bring the left knee above the left elbow on the upper arm. Squeeze the right arm into the chest, in towards the torso. Lift both legs. Squeeze the core first, then lift the legs. And then when you're done playing, meet me in crocodile pose. So all the way down to the stomach, forehead down, one hand on top of the other. Shimmy the hips, let go, and find your breath. You're going to move and breathe, firing up the back line. So think about lengthening the spine, getting the shoulders up, not the head. We're going to inhale as we lift, exhale as we lower. Thinking about lifting the shoulders, inhale as we lift, exhale as we lower. Firing up that entire back line, so legs active, glutes active, low back, upper back, everything active. And then if you want to make it a little bigger, you'll lift the arms up. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. And then place the hands down, shimmy the hips to loosen any gripping in the back. And we're just gonna move freely through the upper back. So we're gonna lift the torso, turn to look to the left foot, drop the right shoulder. Lift the torso, turn to look at the right foot, drop the left shoulder. So this time, no muscle gripping. We're just moving through, having an internal experience of what's going on in the back. Especially the shoulders, we use them a lot. Exhale as you turn and look. Inhale, center. And then bring it back to crocodile. This time, shimmy. And what can you really let go of? Maybe returning to that breath from the start of practice, inhaling through the nose, nice and slow, and exhaling, sighing out, and really letting go of what's no longer needed. And then we're going to roll on over to our backs, keeping our band or strap handy. So roll to your back, and just start to settle in. Move the hips, move the head, land on the ground. So bring the feet down, knees up, and return to the position we started in. It's a great time to just check in muscularly. What is different than when we started? And then when we notice muscularly, what's different energetically? Maybe we're more tired, maybe we're more energized, maybe we're relieved that all the hard work is done. Just notice. Notice what's going on in your head. Are you frustrated with yourself? Are you excited that you tried something new? Again, no right answers. Just checking in to get to know yourself. So then we're going to just work on some slow, stretchy stuff. I'm going to take the right leg up. If you have the strap, you can wrap it around the foot. You can hold on to the strap. So, notes, push the hips into the ground. Find the back of the leg. And I like to say we're finding the muscles that are talking to us, not screaming at us. So we don't want to go to the end zone. Number 1 is no effort. Number 10 is too much. The muscles are screaming. We want to find that middle ground where the muscles are giving us feedback, and then maybe we can move through that feedback. And particularly with the theme of being your own internal student, if you are pulling this foot towards your nose because that's where you believe it should be, this is not wrong. This is a guide. This tells you something about what's going on in your body. So, what is this? What is it that means you want to pull your foot towards the nose? And especially if you're doing it in detriment to something else, I can pull my foot towards my nose pretty easily without too much feedback. However, if I was doing this and my low back was hurting or my hip was popping way off the ground and my body was telling me I'm not ready for this yet, or I'm not supposed to do this because of the shape of my body, my bones, It's information. It's learning. Why am I forcing myself into someone else's shape? So just get to know yourself. And it's not that if you are super able to move your legs that that's wrong either. It just is. Everybody's different. Everybody has different things. You can keep the stretch static, or you can move the foot around, changing the shape of the stretch. So as you move the foot, you find different edges of the muscles that feel. You're just connecting, feeling. Bring the foot back to center and slowly allow the foot to come over towards the right. So as you do this, you can allow the left knee to come over to the left, starting to feel the inner thigh. Now you can experiment with bringing the foot closer to the shoulder or further away, seeing which part of this stretch, which lengthening of this muscle group feels better for you today. Try not to lock the knee, trying to keep energy moving throughout the leg. Noticing if you're having gripping feedback in the low back, around the hips, or in around the spine. So muscular feedback is fine, but if we're ever getting that pinching or stinging or needling sensation, that's nerve feedback, and we don't push through that. Nerve feedback is information that we listen to and back off. So bend the knee a little more, move the foot, make sure that you don't have any nerve things going on. And then slowly bring the foot to center. And then you're going to switch hands if you're holding the strap, and you're going to bring the foot slightly across the body without moving the right hip off the ground. So you're going to actively push right hip towards the ground and see how much of the entire side of the right leg you can feel. Push the hip down. Bend the knee and let the knee come over the left. Bring the knees into the chest, feet to opposite shoulders. You can rest your hands on your shins. Really breathe in, thinking about softening that whole right side glute, piriformis area, fight or fight muscle group. I think I just said fight or flight muscle group, or one of the fight or flight muscle groups. Start to really soften into your breath. Start to release. No gripping of the hands, no gripping of the feet. Letting go. Slowly unravel and left foot up. Wrap it around the bend if you're using the bend. You can't just hold the leg. You can hold the thigh. Press the ball of the foot up to the ceiling. Find the back of the leg. Find the point that feels good for you. Move it around. Hold it static. Make your choices about where your body is today. Slowly allow the leg to come over to the left, and maybe the right knee to come over to the right, just to stabilize the hips. And then play with where the foot is in relation to the head. Just finding the inner thigh and finding where your leg needs to be for you today. And you can take it static, or you move the foot, bend the knee. Trying to keep the right hip grounded, so both hips are grounded. and we're not pulling into the low back in any strange place. So the low back should be nice and soft and relaxed. Maybe push the hips down into the ground a little more if your low back is not relaxed. Slowly bring the foot up to center, keeping that left hip pushing into the ground. Let the foot come a little bit across the body. And play with the foot. You can keep it static. Just trying to find outside leg, outside hip. And then slowly let the knee cross over. Great. Bring the knees into the chest, feet to opposite shoulders, and hands can rest on shins. And releasing, finding the breath, letting go. Slowly unravel. Take the right foot to the very right corner of the mat, the left foot to the very left corner of the mat. Take up some space. So notice what happens when you start to get long. Take any wiggles and adjustments you need for your low back. And take the arms up overhead, point the toes, and reach like somebody pulled your fingers and toes. So somebody's pulling your feet far, far away, and somebody's pulling your arms in the opposite direction. Lengthen, and then take the hands and feet over to the right, the shoulders over to the right, making a big banana on the ground. Lengthen that left side body, and really send a nice slow breath in between the ribs on the left side. Mindful of tension in the neck. Place the head in a comfortable position. Soften the face. Slide over to the other side. Lengthen right side. Send the breath between each rib. Then bring your torso back to center. Soften and notice what your body does when you lengthen. So bring your shoulders down to the ground. Let your arms land wherever your shoulders are most comfortable. So take a check in. See if your low back is super comfortable with your legs long. See if your knees feel comfortable with your legs long. Maybe place something underneath your knees to take some of the pressure out from your low back and from behind the knees. If you're 100% comfortable in this position, stay in this position, but wiggle the foot, the right foot over to the right a little more, and the left foot over to the left. And take a moment to give yourself permission to take up space. So this is the opposite of curling up in a fetal position. This is the taking up of space, landing in your own space. And notice what may come up from this particular exercise. Giving yourself permission to take up space. So if you're like me, spent most of my life struggling with self-worth, and spent much of my life kind of curled up, arms folded, shoulders forward, protection. And the simple act of laying long could often be very, very complicated for me. So I invite you to try it and just notice what comes up. It's not that you don't allow those thoughts to happen. It's not that you must clear your head, and all of these scared little voices in your head that begin to arise shouldn't be there. It's that we give ourselves opportunity to get to know that voice, so it stops having to be screaming to get its attention. You get to know it, you know it's there. You give it a little patience, almost like you're giving your fear, your anxiety, your ego, whatever it is trying to have its little 15 minutes of fame. You're giving it the stage. Let it have the stage. It's only when we get tied up in this constant entanglement and fight that all these parts of us are a problem. So begin to land on the ground, and it can be even helpful to say to yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. Soften control of your breath. Soften control of the muscles of the face. Try to let go of the words should and should not, or good and bad. And just spend the next few moments just being you. If you have the time to take a longer resting pose, please spend the time. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, we're coming up on that mark. So begin to bring gentle movements to the fingers and the toes. Maybe even hands on the legs, make some circles. Start to feel the legs, and then bring a knee in at a time. Curl up in a little ball in the fetal position. So now the opposite. Curl up in a ball. Feel that protective, enclosed pose. Protected and enclosed, as if surrounded by a ball of energy. And that energy containing precisely what we need in this moment, and we do not need to cognitively understand that. In fact, if we visually bring it in, imagine a bubble, imagine it having a color or temperature, whatever helps us connect with that visually rather than cognitively. And then imagine in this ball feeling a little more secure just for a moment. We're not trying to feel safe in the world at all times, but making a building block, a familiar thing that we can come to, where we can feel secure in a moment, secure in our body. And connect within to the heart, the bliss center, as if peeling away all the walls that we build up around it and connecting in. And as we connect into that heart center, as if charging and recharging from our soul center, begin to connect with the concept that that soul center is this same unconditional kindness and loving energy that exists within the bubble around us. The bliss within you is the same as the bliss within me, the same as the sparkles of the stars, the beauty of a flower, the loving eyes of a puppy. It's that little hum of the universe that we all share. Slowly come on up to a seated position and finish your practice with your hands of prayer and heart space. Bring your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart. This gesture of bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart is if accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. Take a moment to bow and honor that bliss within you, that spark of life. The bliss within me sees and honors the bliss within you. May we all spend the rest of our day knowing a little more community, kindness, and patience for ourselves and those around us. Thanks for joining us.